say on Sunday morning, this is the day that the Lord has made. What are we going to do? Come on, let's give a hand clap. This is, we've come to our last day in this space together. We were reminded at our opening worship experience, we are the fulfillment of our ancestors' dreams. I remember preaching my mother's eulogy, and I reminded our family we were surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. We on watch. And I'm reminded about Sean Jenright's picture of the home where his mother grew up. I'm reminded of his tears, how he was ashamed of where his mother grew up. But then he was encouraged by his mother because she said, the fact that you're here, my prayers and my dreams have been fulfilled, even in this space. And Sean Jenright reminded us that when we leave this place, though we have to go back to some places that may not be as big as we want them to be, as progressive as we want them to be, it is the place where we do our dreaming. That's right. It is a place where we see possibility and not problems. And so we gathered today, and I'm thankful for your presence. Would you just do me a favor? Look at the person at the table next to you and say, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. We have laughed, we've cried, made some new friends. And today, we want to celebrate what we've done here and what we've committed to do when we leave here. I want to bring up my friend Albie and Josiah to come and minister to us in song. And then I'll come back and introduce our keynote speaker today, who will encourage us and charge us to do greater work. Albie.
Good morning. Good morning. Really quickly before you start, I wanted to say, first of all, congratulations on your first year and this first conference. I respect so much the work here, and it's been a wonderful pleasure to see how this has unfolded. Last night was a blast. The first day, this looks like you're embarking on something rather grand and major in the world. And so as we see it forward, as we see this thing come into bigger fruition, I wish to pray over it with this song. And so as I sing this, if you would bow your heads with me. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Roger. Come on, let's give another hand clap. I don't know if, I don't see her, Dr. Rosalie Harden. She sort of gave birth to what we're doing here. She organized a conference called the Social Capital Conference. It's not, if not one of the largest, certainly the largest conference around social capital and social impact. It gathers every year in the month of October in San Francisco. And some colleagues of mine told me, you ought to go to SOCAP. And I went in 2019 for the first time, was overwhelmed by the number of foundations, place-based investors, people who cared about the things I care about, trying to solve the problems that I want to solve. And what I noticed was missing in the room were you. Those of us who are in the trenches, in the small spaces, doing the work. And said to Dr. Rosalie's husband, I want to work with you, but I want to bring black churches and black institutions to the table. And at that time, he didn't see the vision. But God works in mysterious ways. It was at that conference that Reggie Blunt and I met for the first time. I said, what brings you to this space? And we began to share a vision for how we might bring the black church and black institutions into the impact space. Went back last year, and I saw they were talking about HBCUs at SOCAP. Who was speaking on behalf of HBCUs? And I watched Dr. Roslyn and Artis take the stage and explain to these foundations and these place-based investors why they needed to invest in our communities and our institutions. And she laid it out so eloquently as if she had read our business plan. If she had read our theory of change. She is an innovator. We were talking earlier, I hate to say it, but she's the first female president of Benedict College. In 2023, we still have to make statements like that. She is an innovative leader focused on social impact. And I remember when I hear something good, I don't forget it. She gave us 4 pillars at SOCAP. She said, yes, I need help with tuition for my students. I need scholarships. So check, everybody knows that. She said, yes, I need help with my endowment. Check, everybody knows that. What got me on was the next 2 pillars. Is she says, I need to build out infrastructure. Because my university is a digital hub for the black community that is in a digital desert around my campus. And then she went to the 4th pillar and talked about alternative housing for alternative students. Single mothers who want to come back to school, but the dorms aren't really working out for a mother with 3 kids. She shared a vision of helping people who are coming home from prison, who want to go to college and start their lives over, but don't know if you want that person in the dorm room with the 18-year-old college student. I was so moved by her presentation at SOCAP that in January of this year, in the first week before campus opened, my wife and I flew down to visit with her and to walk the campus. And she walked that campus in her heels, mind y'all, and pointed to all the real estate projects that she was doing and shared with us the bottleneck she was up against And so I'm so excited to have her come and share with you. Some of you may say, well, why black churches and HBCUs? See, the problem is everybody wants to solve the black community's problem because they think we don't have anything. But our greatest assets, our real estate, our tangible assets, our real estate, black churches and HBCUs own the most real estate than any other black institution in this country. The problem is we're asset rich, cash poor. And there's not a lot of space for us to have imagination or risk because we try to hold on to what we got. And the marketplace sees it, and they're just waiting for our schools to close, our churches to close. But one of our board members, William Town, said, that is our generational wealth. Our ancestors' dreams, they just a figure of our imagination. Some mothers and grandmothers did fish fries, baked chicken, clean other people's bathrooms, raise other people's kids so they could acquire this property and build these buildings. And so we find ourselves in a precarious place because now we're on watch. We are fulfilling our ancestors' dream. We need leaders like Dr. Artis who will not let our HBCUs close. I want to say more, but I'm sure she will tell you the rest. And so with that, I want to introduce to you Dr. Roslyn Artis, who will come and speak to us this morning, soon in the afternoon. Won't you stand and just greet her with a hand clap?
Well, good morning. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I knew I was in the right place today because I heard my friends over my way. Ever be with me, because we should enter with gladness always that we are blessed to be in this place today. I bring you greetings on behalf of the trustees, staff, faculty, students, and 18,000 alumni at Benedict College, the HBCU that put the BC in HBCU. Allow me to extend my thanks to the Reverend Dr. Sidney Williams and the entire Oikos Institute for the invitation to join you here today. It is indeed my pleasure. You know, this fall I began my 11th year as an HBCU president. As I reflect on the past 10 years, I can honestly say, in the words of the Armed Forces, this is the toughest job I have ever loved. I have experienced natural and unnatural disasters, hurricanes, floods, fires, storms. I feel like Job. God has a sense of humor. Job and Job are spelled the same. We've experienced a catastrophic data breach resulting from a cyber attack. I've wrestled with debt service, chronic budget deficits, decades of deferred maintenance on an almost daily basis. I've experienced the roller coaster highs and lows of enrollment, largely dictated by demographic trends and federal policy shifts, but which have been blamed squarely on the administration, despite data to the contrary. I've worked short-staffed and under-resourced for so long, it has become normal. As an HBCU president, I often lay awake at night worrying after that prayer, worrying about the well-being of my students and my ability to assure adequate resources to fully support their myriad needs. I have felt the guilt of pushing an immensely talented staff beyond their human limits to achieve our institutional and student goals, and watched the toll it has taken on each of them physically and at times emotionally. I felt the weighty responsibility as a leader of a private institution to ensure that we make that payroll every 2 weeks for the staff and faculty who give so much day in and day out to support our students. The 5 to 6 hours of sleep I average per night, with the help of 10 to 15 milligrams of melatonin and an occasional glass of red wine, even the Lord drank wine, don't judge me, is filled with dreams for my historic institution. I have prayed for and, yes, cried over the seemingly insurmountable challenges that my students overcome just to get to, much less through college. I watched them push through the death of parents and other family members, the births of children, extreme poverty, undiagnosed learning disabilities, food and housing insecurity, and mental health challenges, while working 1 or more jobs to make ends meet. I see them caring for siblings, contributing to their households, and breaking generational curses. They survived COVID-19 and its disproportionate impact on their communities, and they struggle through the systemic and institutionalized racism that forms the backdrop for their lives. I have seen students killed by senseless gun violence, cut down at the height of their academic careers on the precipice of a bright future. I've seen the raw and searing pain on their parents' faces as they receive posthumous degrees on their students' behalf. I've watched my students grieve for their classmates while silently thanking God it wasn't them. I have traveled extensively advocating for these fragile institutions and trying to dispel the notion that HBCUs are less than institutions, or worse, that they're no longer necessary in our post-racial society. I've worked to inform policies that appear harmless on their face, but upon closer examination have a devastating impact on marginalized institutions. Such is the life of an HBCU president. To be clear, I did not come here to complain. Despite these seemingly insurmountable challenges, leading an HBCU is the honor of my life. Despite the difficulties that come with the job, the rewards are unbelievably rich. I have the privilege of leading an institution that changes lives, families, communities, and yes, the world. We are culturally relevant and deeply committed to the well-being of our students. I have the honor of conferring degrees on students who, like me, are the first in their families to attend and graduate from college. I get to lead an institution that not only provides a solid education, but also steps up to support its students with a food pantry, a clothing closet, bus passes, and a toiletry pantry. We take nothing for granted at my institution. We have done so much for so long with so little, we are now qualified to do anything with nothing. Imagine what we could do with a modest investment. If we can do anything with nothing, we can do everything with something. But I'll come back to that part later. The students I educate have few material possessions, but they're rich in tenacity and drive. They are creative, thoughtful, and committed to improving their lives. Many are homeless, victims of abuse, formerly incarcerated, or wards of the state. They are parents or caretakers themselves while struggling to earn their degrees. Few have significant family support and are often derailed by something as minor as a flat tire that they simply don't have money to repair. They are dealing with medical challenges and learning deficits resulting from a substandard, inequitable K-12 experience. It is not their fault. They do not have nice cars, fancy clothes, or their parents' American Express cards in their pockets. They must take out significant student loans to earn a degree while working multiple jobs, often sacrificing valuable study time or missing class altogether just to make ends meet. I lead an institution that is not a household name, even in HBCU circles. We are small, approximately 2,000 students, and we do not enjoy the national limelight of many of our sister institutions. We are not a state institution, nor do we showcase our students' athletic prowess on the Division I level. We don't lose much, though. Even in this moment of increased visibility for HBCUs, we have not been the beneficiary of transformational philanthropy that other institutions deservedly received, though we are grateful for every gift, no matter the size. We persist, we work daily to amplify the voices of our institution, the dedication of our staff, so that others might see what we have always known, that this HBCU matters too. This HBCU matters to the sophomore student whose mother died suddenly and unexpectedly 10 days before the semester began, leaving her to care for her 6 younger siblings. Benedict matters to the transfer student athlete who lost his father to gun violence on his first day on campus and had to return home to bury him before starting class a week into the semester. This HBCU matters to the young lady who had been kicked out of her house by her abusive father and slept in a car until our campus reopened to provide her shelter during COVID-19. It matters to the LGBTQ student who was disowned by his biological family and who found a surrogate family and social safety on my campus. Benedict matters to the young mother who is trying to set an example for her own children by completing her degree and creating a better life for them. This HBCU matters to the student working at Walmart who is using her smartphone to listen in on classes she has to miss in the Walmart break room. It matters to the student who's been told they would never amount to anything but who earned a 4.0 their first semester. This HBCU matters to the student with a dream of someday owning their own business and to the student who aged out of foster care only to realize they had no place to go. Benedict matters to the student who desires to earn a military commission upon graduation. It matters to all these students, each of whom I know by name, and so many, many more. HBCUs like Benedict College recognize the unique differences in our students, including the number of hours worked per week, family responsibilities, and the inherent inequity of the K-12 system they graduated from. Meeting students where they are is not a mere cliche. Success is the result of a robust ecosystem that contemplates much more than education, much more than book learning. We have never had the luxury of focusing solely on education in our community. Rather, based on the challenges that I described earlier, our task is greater, so much greater. The students we educate are products of the communities that gave birth to them. If we are to fully support the student, we have to address the needs of the community that produced them. We have to be disruptors. We have to get in there and disrupt the cycles that create the challenges for the students to overcome. You see, a student working one or more jobs with significant caretaking responsibilities probably won't complete their degree on time. A student who graduated from a substandard K-12 system probably won't complete in 4 to 6 years because of the need for some significant academic remediation. A student who's endured multiple traumas and adverse childhood experiences may not complete in a traditional time frame. Their experiences have been anything but traditional. A student who loses a parent or gives birth to a child, particularly considering the recent Supreme Court decision, will not always persist in the short term, as they may have to stop out for a year or drop down to part-time for 3 or 4 semesters. They are unlikely to finish in 4 years. A homeless student, a formerly incarcerated student, or a student aging out of foster care may not be on a traditional trajectory toward college completion. The mother or father may require 8 to 10 years to complete an undergraduate degree if they must take 1 or 2 classes at a time in order to balance their family responsibilities. How do we ensure that these students succeed? I am so glad you asked. You do it by fishing differently. You leave the shoreline where the sole metrics of success are student learning outcomes, retention, and graduation rates. Clearly, education is our mission. Learning and degree completion are our primary objectives. However, measuring our success solely in these traditional ways often results in narrow, myopic, scarcity thinking that limits our possibility and creates a scarcity mindset. It allows us to buy into the narrative that we are less than our predominantly white, well-resourced institutions because the number of first-time, full-time freshmen we graduate in 4 years at Howard is slightly less than at Harvard. At Benedict College, we reject that narrative. We are casting our nets into deep water where we're free to imagine a future without constraint. We have chosen to pivot away from a singularly internal focus and instead embrace the communities that surround our campus and seize the opportunity to create impact. If we do not disrupt the conditions that create the hardships I outlined earlier for these students and so many more, we will be reduced to accepting rather than excelling, and I reject that. This brings us to the work we're tasked with today. A deeper understanding of the possibilities for HBCUs and the communities they serve. You see, the legacy of HBCUs in America is both storied and aspirational. Our greatest achievements have yet to be recorded. These cornerstone institutions born of segregation have resisted the temptation to self-segregate. We have opened our doors and flung open our metaphorical arms to students, faculty, staff from all races, countries, and cultural contexts, becoming safe havens for the descendants of slaves, Jewish refugee scholars, immigrants, and yes, women. These venerable institutions produced the Black middle class, propelled the civil rights movement, and continue to outproduce their predominantly white institutional peers by graduating students of color in law, medicine, politics, the arts, and STEM disciplines more broadly. However, they are so much more than these data and statistics. They are the originators of the growth mindset that you've been hearing so much about for the last day and a half. They are the original innovators and authors of making a way out of no way. Yes. They are not just institutions of learning. They are beacons of hope, centers of excellence, and engines of empowerment for diverse communities. We are the hub, the intellectual, social, and economic hubs of our communities. We specialize in access and inclusivity. We've always been the champions of access and inclusivity for all. We are the gateways to a brighter future for countless students, breaking down barriers and leveling the playing field. HBCUs are renowned for their academic excellence. They offer rigorous and nurturing educational environments to cultivate critical thinking, leadership, and a commitment to lifelong learning, a commitment to service to something other than yourselves. It is this cultural capital that we develop on the campuses of HBCUs. Graduates of HBCUs consistently excel in all fields, demonstrating the quality of the education that these institutions provide. HBCUs celebrate and preserve a rich cultural heritage of African Americans and other diverse communities. We are vibrant hubs of cultural expression where traditions, art, music, and history are honored and passed down. We are the recorders, the carriers of the legacy. We're known for producing leaders. We empower students to become leaders in their communities, professions, and beyond. The leadership skills and values instilled in HBCUs have a lasting impact, fostering social change and progress. Did I mention you are here because of us? The civil rights movement was staffed by HBCU students, staff, and faculty. And lest we forget the economic impact of HBCUs on our communities and our nations. We generate jobs, stimulate local economy, and contribute to the growth of industry. Graduates of HBCUs contribute to the workforce, driving economic development through their unparalleled skill and experience. We have a long history of social justice advocacy at the forefront of the civil rights movement, and we continue to this day to advocate for those less fortunate. HBCUs are deeply engaged in their communities and provide essential services. We collaborate with local organizations and address pressing community needs. Their commitment to community engagement fosters social cohesion and uplifts entire underserved communities. And finally, a legacy of resilience. We have overcome adversity throughout history, proving that dedication to a noble cause can triumph over any obstacle. This legacy inspires students and instills a sense of purpose and a sense of perseverance. HBCUs are not just institutions. They are pathways. They are vehicles for possibility. They are transformative institutions that uplift individuals, communities, and our nations. We are deeply rooted in our communities, often serving as anchors for social and economic development. I am here today to advocate for a brighter future for our communities and for our country by investing in community development. I am advocating for fishing differently and engaging historically Black colleges and our Black churches, along with all of our community, in driving economic development, meaningful, sustainable economic development. As stated previously, we are the hub. While most would agree that the hub and spoke concept is effective when it comes to economic development, our philanthropic communities have very often funded the spokes and neglected the hub. Let me give you just a few examples. My lived experience speaks to. Benedict College partners with the United Way of the Midlands. The United Way of the Midlands hosts a program called Black Men United. Our students are participants, our faculty are allies. We provide the support, we provide the backbone, we provide the curriculum, we provide the training, we provide the volunteers. Mackenzie Scott gave the United Way $10 million to facilitate this program. Not the hub, the spoke. Wow. Benedict College partners with the Fresno Unified School District in California to provide dual enrollment for high school students in under-resourced neighborhoods and schools. Our students benefit from the rigor of our faculty and our coursework in a digital environment. Mackenzie Scott awarded the Fresno Unified School District $20 million for its transformational work in its K-12 system in partnering with Benedict College. Benedict, the hub, received nothing. It is our expertise, it is our faculty, it is our brilliance, it is our commitment, it is our history, it is our legacy that is for sale. And yet, the investment tends to be in the spokes to the exclusion of the hub, threatening to derail the entire wheel. You are going to destabilize our communities if you continue to ignore the hub. HBCUs and Black churches are in fact the hub of the Black community. So how do we do this differently? Well, I love a good metaphor, so let's talk fishing. Fishing's always been more than just a pastime. It's deeply rooted in our history, culture, economy, and our faith. It is a source of sustenance for many, a recreational activity for some, and an industry that provides jobs and supports livelihoods across the nation. The fishing industry, like higher education, is evolving rapidly in the face of changing environmental conditions and technological advancements. To ensure the sustainability of the industry and harness the untapped potential, we must embrace innovation, diversity, and collaboration. These are things we know a little something about at HBCUs. It's time we recognize the wealth of knowledge, creativity, and passion that our HBCUs bring to the table when it comes to fostering economic development. So how do we fish differently by engaging HBCUs? Again, I'm so glad you asked. Lessons we learned through COVID-19 at Benedict College included that many of our students reside in digital deserts, that 31% of my students are housing insecure. 3 of 10 Benedict students are housing insecure. That doesn't mean they're living on park benches. It means they don't have a place to call home. It means they're crashing with a friend or relative, that they are in unstable environments, uncertain environments where they don't know what tomorrow holds for them. We understood that the vast majority of our students resided in digital deserts. 12% had no access to technology whatsoever. We could deploy laptops, we could deploy hotspots, but what we came to understand is that if you reside in an area with no broadband technology, that Apple computer is a brick. There is nothing for it to connect to in the absence of infrastructure. We had to be a part of the change. We have advocated for broadband technology in underserved areas. We are a part of the Connected Minority Communities grant process. We are making a way out of no way for our children. We understand their needs, we know them better than most, and we are responding to those needs. One of the things Dr. Williams mentioned really was our Best Lives Center. Let me tell you how peacock proud I am of the Best Lives Center at Benedict College. If any of you know Matt King Carter, you know where that reference comes from. Benedict College has a Best Lives Center, BEST. Everything we do is an acronym of BEST. We like to be the best of BC. I call my time at Benedict College BEST, bold execution of a strategic transformation. We aren't playing. We think about best in every context. If I'm talking about finance, balance every single transaction, BEST. If I'm talking about football, be in every single time. If I'm talking about spiritual life, believing in everlasting spiritual truths. We are a faith-based institution at Benedict College, and we think in terms of best. So when we started to think about how can we be a resource to our community, we came up with BEST. Benedict engages student transitions. You see, we specialize in educating 18 to 21-year-olds. We understand our population. But what we also came to understand, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic, is there are so many other populations out there that need us. There are adult learners. There are 280,000 adults in South Carolina alone with some college and no degree, and 72% of them look just like me. We have an obligation to those parents, those adults, those individuals seeking to better themselves and their communities. Hence, our Septima P. Clark Adult Learning Center housed in the Best Lives Center. We have an obligation to individuals who are currently incarcerated as a result, sometimes, of inequitable policies. We'll have the drug policy conversation another day. I don't have time for that one today. But we know that we have an obligation to those communities. We talk about redemption. We talk about second chances, both in our churches and on our campus, but do we mean it? We do at Benedict College. We are a part of the Second Chance Pell Program, and we're currently educating individuals who are incarcerated with an eye toward transitioning them to our campuses upon completion of their time served. But if you're going to be serious about redemption and second chances, you have to think more broadly about what happens to those individuals as they attempt to transition back into society. It is not an easy path. It is not an easy path. We say we forgive you, we love you, but do we mean it? Did you invite them to stay in your home? Did you provide food? Are you willing to hire them in your company? We are doing that work at Benedict College. We have developed a list of employers who are willing to place these individuals. We are developing out living spaces for individuals who wish to transition back into society and need to be in close proximity to our campus. While many would argue that a college campus is no place to house the formerly incarcerated, I disagree. I disagree. They are our brothers, our cousins, our fathers, our friends, our neighbors. They deserve an opportunity, and at Benedict College, we're going to give it to them because that's what HBCUs have always done. We've made a way out of no way. And for these individuals, there appears to be no way, but I disagree. There is an opportunity here for us to do good work, do God's work, and also good to improve the economic circumstances of our communities. What happens to a formerly incarcerated person who's educated? They go to work, they pay taxes, they improve the base. Remember that we fund K-12 schools on a tax base. We need our communities to thrive economically, financially, and the tax base to be strong. So if we take a defeatist perspective and don't allow people the opportunity to enter and to engage in an economic future, we are killing ourselves. The cavalry isn't coming. The responsibility is ours. I accept my share of the responsibility. I trust each of you does too, and that is why you are here to engage in this conference. We have work to do. The Best Lives Center supports our military families. It is not an easy transition to go from serving this country to coming back home to a country that does not serve you. That is no less true today than it was in the 1960s. That is no less true today than it was in the 1960s. Our military members deserve advocacy as they attempt to access the resources that are available to all men and women who have served this country. We intend to be that ally and that advocate at Benedict College. So we're serving Second Chance Pell, we're serving former incarcerated, we're serving our adult learners, we're serving our military because we mean business at Benedict College. And while we're talking about business, we have a business incubator. In fact, we have two. We have a business development center and we have a women's business center. The women's business center was launched during the height of COVID-19 because what we recognize is that 41% of the businesses that went belly up in the first year of COVID-19 were run by people who looked like me, women and minority-owned businesses. So we launched, we cut the ribbon, and we provided myriad services and supports to women and minority-owned businesses across South Carolina. I dare say we are full. Our incubator is full. Our businesses are launching, they're developing, and we're spreading the spirit of entrepreneurship to our student body. During COVID-19, we opted to go textbook-less, digital. Sorry for any of you who are engaged in the publishing space. I'm going to put you out of business. Because our students could not afford the textbooks. If we want to eliminate barriers to success, we've got to think a little more broadly. So we went to digital resources, but we had a beautiful bookstore at Benedict College. What are we going to do with the bookstore? We're going to make it a makerspace, an incubator. We're going to allow students who have an idea, a product, or service to have space in that former bookstore to market their product or service, to help them create a business plan, think about resource acquisition, to think about how to develop out, scale up, and grow a business. You see, we're not just about the business of teaching kids to get jobs. We're about teaching kids to create jobs. That is how we develop a community. That's how we build a community. We are fishing differently, but we cannot do it by ourselves. You see, the nets are pretty heavy, and they require big, shiny boats. Now I got a steady boat. I got a stable boat. She's been around for 154 years, and she's been doing pretty good work. That is my boat called Benedict College. But we have so much more to do, and we need partners to be able to advance that work. We have got to have investors who understand the value proposition associated with investing in anchor institutions, in hub institutions, recognizing that this old boat has produced at a very high rate. We need to go into the deep water together if we are sincere about economic development in underserved communities, whether that is investment in real estate and housing, whether that is creative programming around entrepreneurship, building economies. We need to do that together as a function of growing under-resourced, marginalized communities, if and only if we're serious about transformation. Now, see, y'all are probably, you've been in the church. Did we say we redeemed? You may not remember Bone Crusher. He's a rapper. Now, it just so happened he went to Benedict College. I just learned that, actually, fun fact. I was a fan before I found that out. And I'm a fan because I like he was kind of a one-hit wonder, sort of, a little bit. He did I Ain't Never Scared. Y'all ever heard that? I Ain't Never Scared. Right? I am careful, I am prayerful, but I'm not fearful. I don't have to be, because I know that I'm working for right. And when you're working for right, he brings the mic. So if we're to move forward, we can't be fearful. We can't be scared. We got to be Bone Crusher. Incidentally, in Bone Crusher's defense, since I referred to him as a one-hit wonder, and some of y'all might go back and tell him that he's a big guy, you should know that one hit is feeding his family right now. Because all those games that your kids like to play on, see, Benedict has esports too. We spend a great deal of time teaching our kids how to capitalize on one of the fastest growing industries in America. Not playing games, creating the games, right? That is the business that we are in. Well, you may notice if any of you all play Madden or NBA 2K, that the background music is I Ain't Never Scared. He's getting royalties, right? And that's what we're teaching our kids. Don't just be the rapper, right? You want to sell the royalties in a commercial venue and make money off your money forever, and it's called residuals. It's a wonderful word. We got to teach about residual income. Right? We're not just going to make the hit and produce the concert, we're going to have residual income as a result of that investment. And so we're teaching our kids to think differently about economic development, about money. We have a QEP, I know I'm right about Benedict, but I told y'all I was peacock proud. Financially informed and thriving, fit.
All right now.
I don't really believe too much in physical exercise. However, financially informed and thriving is an important concept. You see, I need my kid to understand that taking on that second part-time job at the risk of having to drop down to a part-time schedule increases your time to degree 1.5 years. We cost $22,000 a year. So to make $8 an hour times 8 hours a week, right, $640 for the mathematicians in the house, you're going to cost yourself $22,000. It's a lost opportunity cost. Our kids have to learn the language of money. They have to understand that all opportunity has a cost. And you've got to make good financial decisions, not short-term, got to have a dress for homecoming decisions, but long-term solutions, long-game solutions about wealth building. That is the work we do at HBCUs. We're getting fit. We're financially informed and thriving, and we're creating an example of that at Benedict College. Our students have an investment committee. They're participating in the investment of our endowment. You see, that's very important at Benedict College. Someone said this to me, Robert Smith said this to me, and I took it to heart. You invest your money with people who won't invest in you. Well, now that stuck me. That stuck with me. That's right. I can't love Black people. So I am an Ivory Tolson acolyte. If you haven't read Ivory Tolson's work, you should really do that. He says, I love people who love Black people enough to not believe every bad thing they ever heard about Black people.
Right.
I love Black people who love Black people enough not to believe every bad thing they ever heard about Black people. Speak life.
Yeah.
Speak life over these institutions and over these children. If we inform our kids, train our kids, teach our kids, and lead by example, we now do business with people who do business with us.
Yeah.
You see, I want my kids in on the conversation when we choose a food service provider. One, they got to eat it, and two, they need to see that we chose a Black provider, right? A HBCU graduate who was 37 years old when he started a food service provider company, and we're going to invest in him because he invested in us, because he's born of us. That's what economic development is.
Yes, yes.
It is a preference to some extent, but it's a preference born of our own communities. That is the work that we are tasked to do. That is, in my opinion, fishing differently. We are the hubs for research and innovation at our HBCUs. We are specialists in education and training. We play a pivotal role in training the next generation of fishermen. We might want to talk in the context of marine biology, fisheries and managers. I'm talking doctors, lawyers, engineers, cybersecurity specialists, supply chain managers, and the like. That is our version of fishing. Community engagement is not just about catching fish, it's about building strong communities. We have a rich tradition of community engagement and social responsibility. I've mentioned that before. We now have a rich tradition of entrepreneurship and small business development. We've got to amplify that, double down, and grow that footprint across the country, and you do that by investing in the hub institutions that are doing the work. We know our populations, we know our communities, we know our constituents better than anyone. Our success, I dare say, during COVID-19, with helping people to get vaccinated, receive PPE, understand the challenges associated with navigating a pandemic, was because we operated from a position of trust. People remember Tuskegee. Vaccine resistance was born of Henrietta Lacks and Tuskegee. Black people remember what the medical community has done to it. They weren't taking your word for it when they said get vaccinated, but they took ours. Yes. Benedict College had a 0.04 infection rate. We mandated vaccine when we secured our campus because they trusted us and they understood that if it comes from us, it is meant for our good. That is the work that we are capable of doing in our nation's HBCUs if only we have the investment. We can scale up. We can drive the economies in the communities that we serve, and we can improve the entirety of the Black community. Fishing differently through collaboration with HBCUs is not just a vision. It's a practical strategy for achieving goals. By harnessing the intellectual capital and community-focused approach to these institutions, we can revolutionize community development, making it more sustainable, inclusive, and economically prosperous for all. I invite you on a journey to explore the profound value of HBCUs with the metaphor of deep-sea fishing just for fun. Just as deep-sea fishing requires courage to venture into uncharted waters, HBCUs have demonstrated the audacity to navigate uncharted territories in education and economic empowerment. Imagine, if you will, embarking on a deep-sea fishing expedition. You set sail in a vast, mysterious ocean where the depths conceal treasures yet to be discovered. HBCUs are sturdy vessels, equipped with the knowledge and experience to navigate these uncharted waters. We have done it for generations. Deep-sea fishing requires specialized knowledge of the ocean's currents, fish behavior, and the latest fishing techniques. Did I mention we know our people? We know our communities. We know our needs. HBCUs are institutions that specialize in providing knowledge tailored to the unique needs and aspirations of our students. We equip them with the skills and understanding required to navigate the complexities of life and excel in their fields of interest. Just as skilled fishermen cast their line into the depths, HBCUs cast a lifeline of opportunities to our students who might otherwise feel adrift. They provide access to higher education, opening doors that were often closed. Through scholarships, mentorships, and inclusive environments, we empower individuals to seize opportunity at every turn. We also cast a diverse net. In deep-sea fishing, a diverse array of fish inhabit the different depths and regions. You ain't getting mahi standing on the shore. You gotta go out into the deep water to get the good stuff. HBCUs cast a diverse net deeply, welcoming students from various backgrounds, cultures, and walks of life. This diversity enriches the educational experience, fostering understanding, collaboration, and global perspective. Deep-sea fishermen face unpredictable weather, rough waters, and challenging conditions. This may come as a shock to you, but HBCUs too have encountered adversity throughout their history. We have weathered storms of discrimination and inequality, emerging stronger and more resilient as a result thereof. The resilience teaches our students the value of perseverance and the ability to navigate life's challenge without complaint or excuse. We will stand and deliver. The bounty of achievement is inherent in HBCUs. A successful deep-sea fishing trip is marked by the bounty of the catch. Similarly, HBCUs have a long history of producing accomplished graduates, innovators, and advocates for social change, leaving a legacy that extends far beyond our shores. And finally, just as deep-sea fishing communities have their unique traditions and knowledge, HBCUs are the preservers of the cultural heritage. They celebrate the rich traditions, histories, and achievements of African Americans and other diverse communities. Through cultural programs and events, they ensure these traditions are passed down and celebrated. They are the fiber, the synaptic nerves of the Black community. The value of HBCUs is akin to a successful deep-sea fishing expedition. They provide the knowledge, opportunity, and resilience needed to navigate life's uncharted waters. They cast a diverse net, capturing the potential of students from all backgrounds, and produce a bountiful catch of achievement, leaving a lasting impact on society. And like seasoned fishermen, HBCUs are keepers of the traditions and the legacy. Just as successful deep-sea fishing trips yield treasures from the ocean's depths, HBCUs continue to yield treasures of knowledge, opportunity, and empowerment. They are vessels of hope, navigating the seas of education, and their value is immeasurable to the communities they serve. It's a visionary idea, one that revolves around investing in the pillars of our society, our churches, our HBCUs. Both institutions are anchors in our community, sources of inspiration, catalysts for positive change. By recognizing their untapped potential and investing. Remember, we can do something with nothing and everything with investment. We can scale up, we can grow, and we can quite literally change the world. Do not let the fact that we have survived with nothing allow you to believe we are not deserving of something. We can thrive with something. Our impact can be exponential. We can change communities for the better and make it a sustainable change. A scholarship for a single student at one time is a good thing, and I thank those of you who have provided them. That helps that student in that semester at that school in that community. But an investment more broadly in that hub that allows that hub to engage the spokes in that community and turn that wheel toward economic empowerment for all is a lasting, sustainable change. Let us recast the net. Let us think differently about what HBCU investment looks like. Let us think transformational investments. Transformational investments. You heard from my colleague John Wilson yesterday, and I'm certain that he said this to you. Respectable contributions are appreciated. Transformational contributions are needed. If we are serious about this work, if we are serious about the uplift of historically marginalized communities, the greatest single vehicles for that investment really are our cornerstone organizations, our churches, and our HBCUs. We have withstood the test of time. We have demonstrated our mettle. We have outproduced every metric. We have punched above our weight, and we have delivered for this country again and again and again and again. So if we're serious, if we're really serious, and I believe that you are, I believe that you are because you're here. I believe you are because you're doing the work. I believe you are because you labor in the vineyards every single day, providing food and resources and clothing and engagement and prayers. Yeah. Prayers for institutions that deserve transformational investments. We don't need to transform our institutions. Let me be clear about the word transformation. Benedict College doesn't need to be transformed. Her facilities need to be updated. Right? Her classes don't need to be transformed. Her genius needs to be amplified. Her infrastructure doesn't need to be transformed. It needs to be brought into the 21st century and scaled up. Transformation is a tricky word because it gives you the impression that we need you to change us. I don't need you to change us. I need you to help us, invest in us, support us, but we can do other things. Because we've done something with nothing, we can do everything with something. It is not about transformation, it is about scaling. It is about creating a measurable impact through strategic investment in cornerstone organizations that have a track record and a history of outproducing every metric. Won't you join me in the deep water? Down deep where the ocean is blue and the mahi float, where dreams can be realized, where success can be achieved on a far greater scale than we can ever imagine if we will only think differently about how to get there. Board the boat, help cast the net, plunge deeply into this work, sincerely into this work. Do we mean second chances, or do we mean second chances? Do we mean investment, or do we mean investment? Are we committed, or are we committed? Right? Are we really serious about economic empowerment? If so, you're left with a singular conclusion, that these organizations and entities that have developed the blueprint, that have been successful against the odds, are your greatest single opportunity to achieve your goals and to transform in a positive way, not change, scale up these critical institutions, and in so doing, will realize a tremendous harvest in the deep blue sea. I know you're prepared. I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've got my sea legs. I hope you do too. Let's go fishing together.